take advantage of this opportunity. Great devotees, they make this rare gift, the most rare gift of all available. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as a great acharya, particularly in recent times, has been the most significant acharya in many ways, you could say, of all, in bringing back or bringing to the surface the mission of Lord Chaitanya, bringing this boat, making it available to all living entities. So we'll sing this song, remembering Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our dear Srila Prabhupada, all of our acharyas and devotees, etc. All these persons mentioned in this song are our Siksha Gurus. They are also giving us guidance, inspiration through their teachings, through their living example, and still we can experience their presence when we hear about them to some degree at least. Do you have anyone on Madanga and harmonium? Rasika and harmonium. It's quite a simple tune. I hope you can follow. And somebody who can play nicely on the Madanga. Who's going to play Sri Madanga? Anybody? Never mind. Somebody's, oh, Chris, no, man, I'm just, okay, good. I'm seeing the corner of my eye. Yanilo, Premadam, Karuna. Songbooks are here. This song is. I don't know what page. It's a song by Narottam Das. You find the songbooks? Someone can help. There should be dozens of them. Give some to the devotees over here, please. We need about 8 or 9 or 10 songbooks if you don't have. Oh wow, it's very long. Page number, please. Page number 79. 79. Oh, Yeyanilo Premadonna.
Hare Rama,
Tirobha Mahotsav Ki. All Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. The little time we have, we'll try to share a few things and a few remembrances, or so to speak, from our Acharyas who've spoken about Janananda Bhaktivinoda and his own biography, of course, and other sources about his contribution and significance in our lives, or the lives of the world today. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanugavarayate. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is the transcendental energy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Gadadhar Pandit is also transcendental energy of Mahaprabhu. He is a strict follower of the Goswamis, headed by Srila. Where should we start? We just have, again, it's a similar thing to this morning, the lessons to learn, the history and the inner aspect of their relationship and devotional practices. But this evening, the little time, we'll hear a little bit about his history, Krishna Guru, and perhaps some of his significant, everything about him was significant contributions. He appeared in this world in the 19th century, in 1838, on September the 2nd. And he appeared in quite an opulent family in Bengal, Birnara. And his childhood, mostly his family were not Vaishnavas, they were mostly Shaktas. But nonetheless, there was many Vaishnavas around, and some of his relatives were Vaishnavas. Most of Bengal was not. And those who were supposedly Vaishnavas were not generally practicing very seriously. In fact, mostly they were deviating from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. The situation was not very, you could say, not in good shape from the point of view of Krishna consciousness. So when he appeared in his childhood, he didn't particularly manifest any signs of pure devotional service. Even in his youth, much of the time he was more inclined to the teachings of Lord Jesus, sometimes even touched with Mayava. He was, basically speaking, what was going on here. As an eternal associate of the Lord, they sometimes appear like this, they want to show us the way to pure devotion. And on the same time, he was also very curious and would study all the various philosophies and lifestyles of people, wherever he could, other teachings. So he could understand and grasp the mindset of others. And all sorts of things. He learned several languages, including Persian, Urdu, and English, of course, Sanskrit, Bengali. He was quite a genius when it came to scholastic studies. Even at the age of 8, 9, he was already studying astrology. He wrote his first literature, some say, when he was 2 or 3 years old. But certainly when he was 11, he wrote Poryad on poem, famous poem. But he was greatly learned. He, at the same time, although born into a very opulent, most of his family passed away during his childhood. Most of the wealth was lost. In fact, they became quite poor after a while. He had to more or less curtail his studies in order to earn money to maintain his mother. Some of the family members' father passed away, and so many relatives had passed away. And it wasn't the roses that he was born into, so to speak. But nonetheless, he was well situated in many ways, scholastically, and for quite a while he was teaching in schools and various places as earning. As time went on, of course, he gained more qualifications. He entered into the legal world, became a district magistrate after a while under the British government at that time. And he was very faithful, I would say, very efficient magistrate. So to cut a long story short, without reading or hearing about details, we'll more or less go track forward. At first he wasn't very impressed by the representatives of Vaishnavism, especially in Bengal and Orissa. As we heard, there's mostly Apa Sampradaya, that means against or deviant from the actual line, the original line, drifted off concoctions. And in many cases they were a bit of a disgrace. Most of the, say, intelligent people, particularly in Bengal, looked down upon Vaishnavas as a degrading bunch and didn't take them seriously. So that was the situation in a nutshell. There was all kinds of other things in terms of, caste Brahmanism and persons, of course, was rampant. Shakta worship was rampant. Brahmoism, another concocted philosophy, a kind of a blend between modern materialism, some pseudo-Vedic principles, Christianity, kind of a mishmash, as we say, a bit of a jumble. Was becoming popular as kind of welfare kind of a mood, being good to others and so on, appealing at the time. And Christianity, of course, was being pushed by the British at that time. And basically Vaishnavism had all but subsided. But when Bhaktivinoda came in contact, particularly, he says in his biography, with Chaitanya Charitamrita, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which were basically being misrepresented. But he came across a bona fide text, and immediately he said his anurag, his natural inclination towards Krishna arose, towards Lord Chaitanya arose immediately. I'm going to start with, let's see, where should we start here?
This is Chaitanya Charitamrita was lost at this time, or almost lost?
Yeah, well, the practice was lost. There was still some availability, but people were not following it. It was misutilized, as often happens. Persons who are conditioned, persons who are, ill-motivated. Very common. Let's see, here. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wrote in his preface to the Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma is perhaps the most prominent or the most significant, hard to tell, but Prabhupada said that. He said of all the books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the two most significant are Jaiva Dharma and Chaitanya Shikshamrit. Two most significant. Very well. He said, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is an extremely dear associate of Sri Chaitanya Chandra. In the course of time, when those who preached the desires of Chaitanya Dev had left this world to enter the Lord's eternal pastimes, the sky over Bengal slowly darkened, covered by the thick clouds of sensual enjoyment and false renunciation. The sky was covered and the world was bereft of the rays of light coming from the Sankirtan propagated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One by one, the sun, the moon, and the unlimited stars of that sky faded from view, leaving only the occasional flash of lightning to disrupt the unending darkness of ignorance. Almost 350 years after the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur came to illuminate the Gaudiya sky. That's just a little summary of the situation by Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. So more or less exactly 500 years ago, after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed from this world, more or less, in 1534. So, 400 years, it's 300 years, 300 years later, excuse me, Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared in this world, more or less 300 years after the departure of Lord Chaitanya. And for much of that time, Gaudiya Vaishnava was basically, the true message was more or less eclipsed by diversive understandings. And the mission of Lord Chaitanya was not being propagated as it is. So we'll just cover a few of the major points of his life. Major contributions. Who can say a major contribution of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life? A major one. There are unlimited contributions, major ones. There are some very prominent major ones. That's a pretty easy question. Somebody must know something. Haladar Prabhu.
What Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said about Christianity, exactly.
About what?
Christianity.
Oh, now my question is, what is major contribution of Bhaktivinoda Thakur?
That he brought out the pure devotional service.
Okay, this is the root. He's practically speaking the root of our Krishna consciousness movement. Let's see what we can say. Maybe we'll come across that in a minute. Here. We should take it, says Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the origin of the Krishna conscious movement in its pure form. Those are words of our Srila Prabhupada. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur thus made an unequaled contribution to the ultimate spiritual welfare of humankind. Unequaled. Really, I mean, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, his whole mission grew out of course, the inspiration of Bhaktivinoda, the desire of Bhaktivinoda, his father, who prayed for him, prayed for that ray of Vishnu, trained Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj in so many ways. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was so absorbed in another major contribution of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. What was that? What was he absorbed in?
Spreading press.
Spreading is one thing.
Printing press.
Printing press. The printing press and the publication of literature, of course. You know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote more than 100 books. And goodness knows how many songs contained within some of those books. Tremendous. And there were no typewriter came in at the end, I don't know. But no typesetting machines, no computers, no Google search. Nothing was there. No database. If ever you read his books after you've read Prabhupada's 1 million times, or whatever it is, maybe not 1 million, but been through Srila Prabhupada's books, seriously. If ever you read Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books, you'll just be amazed. Completely mind-boggling. How he could write, it's almost like an encyclopedia. Complete on all aspects of society, not just on the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, not just on the process of Krishna consciousness itself, but on every aspect of how, as you mentioned, Christianity, how Christianity fits in. He very much appreciated the merciful, compassionate nature of Jesus Christ, which he did not perceive very much in his experience amongst Vaishnavas, the young man, or others, so to speak. But he could see the deep compassion of Jesus Christ. So that impacted on him quite a lot. He learned from all kinds of sources, the various, so he could know how to relate, how to deal. And in all of his literature, it's just incredible how he is able to relate everything and see everything, even mundane activities, how they can be connected to the path of devotion, and how they have their significance if done properly, in the gradual elevation of consciousness of living entities. Who is definitely an absolute instrument for the will of the Lord to enter in. And from there, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj took it to establish a institutional presentation. Bhaktivinoda Thakur didn't have an official, a little bit, there was some official actually, but nothing very seriously organized, not like Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And consequently, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so the contribution of his books, in fact, Prabhupada writes, doesn't he? In 1896, he said, was very significant. That was the year of our Srila Prabhupada's appearance in this world. And he said it was not by chance that that was the year that Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent the first Vaishnava literature to the Western world. He sent 2 books, as far as I've heard. Sri Chaitanya's Life and Precepts, and that's the famous one, I think. He also sent Krishna Samhita, if you've ever heard of that. He sent that to, I think, Ralph Waldo Emerson, maybe others also. Not an easy book to fathom, but a very deep, significant subject matter. And every one of his books is just stunning, absolutely stunning. And you can see how Srila Prabhupada also so much taking that essence, that mood in his own writings also. So we got presenting pure Krishna consciousness, the basic foundation of the whole essence of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life, was to show and to teach pure devotional service. What other great contribution did he have? There are many, but perhaps 2 or 3 most significant ones. Anyone else? We've probably got 2 there. The establishing of the pure message of Lord Chaitanya and the publication of unending transcendental literature. No end to it all.
Rediscovering the place of
That's usually considered to be perhaps the 3rd of the most significant contributions he established, rediscover, whatever you wish to call it, established the actual place of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in this world. It was very significant. There was a lot of, let's say, differences of opinion, and still there are actually. Still there are many who do not agree with that. There's a spot in Navadvip where they still say it's the appearance place. But he showed from maps, he showed from history, studying the histories and revelation, even from his own Siksha Guru. Who knows the name of his Siksha Guru?
Jagannath Das Babaji.
Jagannath Das Babaji. Very amazing. He was 120 years old. This is in about 1890 or 1888 or something when they first discovered the spot. Bhaktivinoda saw when he was in Navadvip in Rani Ashram, he was looking across the Ganga and suddenly he saw this divine light appear on the other side of the river. a magnificent temple manifesting. And this made him really curious, so he found out where is that place, called what's it called, Baladigi or something. There was like a little mound there. He went there. There were tulsis growing on this hill. The Muslims, it was a Muslim village. They were afraid to go there. It was some kind of, spooky for them. But many of the local, there were Hindus nearby and some saintly people, they said they always considered this was the spot where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. And on the maps it said Mayapur in that spot. The old maps, hundreds of years before the British maps, said Mayapur right there. Then he discovered that the present Navadvip had only been practically there for about 100 years. So it wasn't like that was an ancient city or anything, that's the present location. And then to confirm his, let's say, discovery or whatever, he brought his Siksha Guru, Jagannath Das Babaji, to that spot in a basket. So Babaji Maharaj's servant was carrying him in a basket. And when they reached that spot, Jagannath Das Babaji, who was basically speaking, was, more or less infirm, unable to move. He jumped out of the basket and started to dance on the spot that indeed this is the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very significant event. So they confirmed it. And when they did eventually start to make the foundations, they discovered a deity as they dug into the ground of Adokshita Krishna, which was the very deity worshipped by Jagannath Mishra. So that was a further confirmation. I think everyone can understand its real reality here, because from there the Sankirtan movement has mushroomed or spread all over the world, basically speaking. Another great contribution. There's so many contributions. Let's just go through it as another one was his. It's not really as much a contribution. It's just a revelation. Here's a prediction which he made. Now he made several predictions during his time. Now, to understand that there was hardly speaking any mission. He was more or less alone in terms of a preacher. So he made a prediction around about 1875 and others a little bit later, but they're all combined here. And this is what he wrote. Lord Chaitanya did not invent himself to liberate only a few men of India. Rather, his main objective was to emancipate all living entities of all countries throughout the entire universe. That's a big one. And preach the eternal religion. Lord, not just a temporary religion, which may help towards that. And I mean, the Dharma is okay, but it has to be in relationship to Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion. That was Lord Chaitanya's mission. Lord Chaitanya says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and many of you know this, Prativityachiati Nagaradi Gram, Sarvatra Prachora Hoimi Moranam. What does that mean? In every town and village,
this will be heard my name.
Yeah, my holy name will be propagated. Harinam Sankirtan will be propagated all over the world, everywhere. My holy name will be sung in every town and country and village. There is no doubt, he said, that this unquestionable order will come to pass. Very soon, the unparalleled path of Harinam Sankirtan will be propagated all over the world. This is the path, Harinam Sankirtan. He preached Harinam Sankirtan and whatever was favorable to facilitating that. Whether it was Varnashram, opening centers, namahats, books, everything. Oh, for that day when the fortunate, listen to this one, English, French, Russian, German, and American people will take up banners. It doesn't mean protesting like they do through the streets, but banners of Hare Krishna, like that, Krishna conscious, Madangas and cartels, and raise kirtan through their streets and towns. When will that day come? Oh, for the day when the fair-skinned men from their side will raise up the chanting of Jai Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, and join with the Bengali devotees. When will that day be? On such a day they will say, our dear brothers, we have taken shelter of the ocean of Lord Chaitanya's love. Kindly embrace us. When will that day come? That day will witness the holy transcendental ecstasy of the Vaishnava Dharma to be the only Dharma. It is the only Dharma. Everything else is to bring us to that Dharma. Sankirtan is the eternal nature of the soul. To glorify the Lord by chanting His glorious name, fame, form, pastimes, activities. It's the eternal nature of the soul. You know, some sectarian thing. Everything else is a sectarian thing. And he says then, and all the sects and religions of the world will flow like rivers into the ocean of Vaishnava Dharma. He wants all the other sects and religions of the world to flow like rivers into that Vaishnava Dharma. When will that day come? And then he penned another amazing prediction. And this you could say, this was prediction, it's not absolutely sure, 1880, whatever. But he made this other prediction. He said, very soon a personality will appear to preach the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and move unrestrictedly over the whole world with his message. And amongst many other predictions, you could say, of others, or other histories, incidences, indicating that this was the time now, that this message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was about to be, the gate was about to be unlocked and the message would be going all over the world. Flood was about to take place and Srila Prabhupada was that messenger. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj also, of course, had the same. Prabhupada was empowered by Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj to do this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is interesting. Prabhupada says here, during a videotape conversation with Srila Prabhupada in LA, Vishnu Jan Swami remarked, he said, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said he was leaving this world with his work unfinished. Srila Prabhupada replied, so let us finish it. We are descendants of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It was kept unfinished so that we should get the chance to finish it. That's his mercy. He could have finished immediately. He is Vaishnava. He is all-powerful. But he's giving us that chance. This is a great mercy to be an instrument or a member of the Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan, pure Sankirtan movement to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Here's some little, few little things. The Thakur was always courageous. We see that. He was fearless. I mean, he challenged just about anyone in a very nice way in general. He was very expert at presenting the truth in a very nice way, very considerate way of others, but not missing the point either, not compromising. But sometimes he would be like a lion in the chase. Huh? There's a famous incident, isn't it? When he was a magistrate, the British government was depending on him a lot. In fact, in Puri, he was a magistrate there in Puri. The British also appointed him as the manager of the Jagannath temple. There was a lot of misappropriation and mismanagement going on. So he looked into it and he you could say, turned things around. He upgraded the standards. It was very loose. Every day, was it 56 offerings a day or whatever it is? He rose the standard up. And he also found much of the money was being embezzled. At that time, the king was obviously not a very great pious devotee, but he was embezzling money from the temple. And Bhaktivinoda discovered this, and he put an end to it. Being a magistrate, he was powerful. He formed the British government. It was stopped. The king was so angry that he cursed Bhaktivinoda. In fact, he employed Brahmins to have a yajna to kill Bhaktivinoda Thakur because he cut him off. They had a yajna. After the yajna, the king's son died on the spot. Nothing happened to Bhaktivinoda. He was fearless. Another time, it came to his notice that this one upstart, he was claiming to be Mahavishnu, an incarnation of Mahavishnu, but he was actually exploiting people all over Orissa, near Puri, especially women. He had exploited many women sexually and otherwise. And this came to Bhaktivinoda's attention, and he investigated. He went to the place where Bhishikishane was, and he inquired from him what's going on. Bhishikishane you could see his personality was on a mission. So he tried to entice him to, why don't you join me? We can, get the British out of here, and I'll install you as King of India. He was trying to give him some bait, but Bhaktivinoda would take nothing of it. He made further inquiries, and it was clearly obvious that not only was he, let's say, engaged in treasonary activities against the British government, but he was blasphemous. He blaspheming Lord Jagannath. He was also exploiting people left and right, as we already mentioned. And so many things, claiming himself to be an avatar when he was nothing but a cheat, which was in one sense the biggest. So then Bhaktivinoda decided to go there and bring this to an end. So he went there and had him arrested. It wasn't easy, but he had him arrested, and they took him to Puri, and he was put in jail. And while he was in jail, this Bhishikishane, he had mystic powers. He had a lot of, his curly hairs and stuff. And he had mystic powers, and he had many followers, thousands, and they were all protesting against Bhaktivinoda Thakur's actions. And he started to threaten him. He said, if you don't drop this case, you will die, and all your family as well. You wait and see. And sure enough, all of his family became extremely sick, including him. But he didn't back off. He pushed forward. And on it went. Days and weeks, the trial went on. Usually, he was a magistrate. He would finish a case in 5 minutes. He would hear the evidence and give the decision. He could deal with 20, 30, 40 cases a day. He was like, the British government was so impressed. I mean, they never came across a person so accurate as him, so clear in his decisions. But this was a case which dragged on. And eventually came to the end, declaration, guilty, so many years in jail. Then as they were taking him away to lock him up, there was a huge uproar in the crowds. One British officer actually, the British officer had a big pair of scissors, jumped on him and cut his hair off. He collapsed, lost all his mystic power. And he committed suicide in jail. He lost everything. So, although Bhaktivinoda was very sick, he did not in any way let go. And then everything cleared up. So he was very uncompromising in that sense, courageous. I mean, he risked his life. He was standing up against the crowds. But he always acted for everyone's welfare, keeping personal needs to a minimum. He had a big family. He had 12 kids. It wasn't a small one. Imagine you having 12 kids if you're a grihasta. Would you be able to write for 8 hours a day? He used to write an average 8 hours a day, writing his books and some poems and essays, songs. He worked for 6 or 7 hours a day. chant, japa, read, study for 4 or 5 hours. I mean, that's already nearly 20 hours a day. He slept between 2 and 4 hours a day. And he had a big family. He was a magistrate, and he was overseeing the temple. Of course, these are only outlines. Obviously, he had put some between for the family, for eating. He hardly ate, and his eating was very quick. He would bathe, it would take 5 or 10 minutes, the whole thing, bathing, bath, finished. Waste of time. Didn't have time to waste in the bathroom, you know. Get it over with it quickly. You can't get on with the real business. Like this, he was completely engaged from morning, all 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. Fully engaged. On top of that, different times he was moving around. The British government moved him from different places in his services. He was always in Puri, sometimes he was even in Bangladesh, what we call Bangladesh. Midnapore and Krishnanagar and different places, Calcutta. And he also preached, like anything, not just through writing. Another major contribution, every town and village. What did he do? Namaha. Thank you. He established over 500 namahats personally in Orissa and Bengal. Can you imagine? He would go there. There were, transport was there, but it wasn't like today. It's quite arduous getting to some of these places. He would go there and establish a namahat and set the whole thing up. What's that book called? His whole book he produced. What's it called? Oh, I forgot. On the namahat. Lord Nityananda's namahat. He established when he was in Krishnanagar, he purchased a property in Godruma. Svananda Sukada Kunj. Following in the footsteps of Lord Nityananda. And it was there that he established the worship of Gorgadara. There's a nice song in the book Kalyana Kalpatru. He describes how he saw Gorgadara transform into Radha Madhava. He's the other family deity he worshipped. And there he worshipped, still there, you can go there. And the British government made a little railway line from Krishnanagar right to his house, so he could quickly get to his duties in Krishnanagar. Still there today, I think. Like this. Said, okay. He lived very simply, said one Pandit. In the following entry from Sharanagati, Srila Bhaktivinoda, when all pure divine qualities, takes the role of a conditioned soul to teach us how to advance in Krishna consciousness. All of his songs are like that. Sounds like he's like some neurotic and depressed, going low self-esteem to the max, I'm the most wicked, wretched person. There's no sin I've not committed. I hate to see people happy. I'm so miserable. And he goes on and on and on and on. Yes, it seems. That's another topic altogether. But this incredible kind of dependence and prayerful submission, repentant mood. You have to read. It goes through step by step by step with pure devotion. You should always absorb your mind in attentively chanting Krishna's glories. By performing Krishna Kirtan, you will gain mastery over the mind. Give up all false pride. Always think yourself to be worthless, destitute, lower and more humble than straw in the street. Practice forgiveness like the tree. Giving up all violence towards other living beings, you should maintain them. Throughout your life, you should never give anxiety to others, but do good to them. Make them happy. Forget about your own happiness. Then you become a pious, good soul by possessing all good qualities. You should give up desires for fame and honor. Just make your heart humble, knowing that Lord Sri Krishna lives within all living beings. You should respect and honor everyone at all times. This is the mood of Lord Chaitanya's Sikshastra. You will attain virtue by being humble, merciful, respecting others, and renouncing desires for fame and honor. In such a state, you should sing the glories of the Supreme Lord. Weeping, Bhaktivinoda submits his prayer at the lotus feet of the Lord. O Lord, when will you give me such qualities as these? We should take it, Prabhupada said. He made an unequal contribution to the ultimate spiritual welfare of humankind. And eventually, of course, he trained his son, and he initiated a few disciples, not many. It was just connecting people to Lord Chaitanya's movement. And leaving the legacy of the literatures which our whole movement is based upon. Incredible spiritual knowledge therein. After taking to the renowned story, he kind of took Babaji around about 1908 or 10, something like that. He accepted a few disciples, but feeling a strong desire to be fully absorbed in the spiritual plane, the Thakur shut himself up. He established a little residence in Calcutta called Bhaktivinoda. I don't know. I looked up on the map, but I've never been there. I found the kind of location, but if it's still there or not. Yes, it is. In the year 1910, so that he could remain uninterruptedly engaged in the divine service of Sri Radha and Krishna. Feigning paralysis before the eyes of common people, he entered into a state of total samadhi, spiritual trance. Basically, went into samadhi in his last days, and on June the 23rd, which is equivalent to today on our Vaishnava calendar, 1914, so how many years ago was that? 110, isn't it?
Yes.
110 years ago, the sun began its southern course, and on that day he departed this world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
On the same day, not the same year of course, but the same date that Gadara Pandit also departed this world. Gadara Pandit he left the world shortly after Lord Chaitanya. It's amazing actually, Gadara Pandit was not that old, he was younger than Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya left the world, it said that Gadara Pandit aged, like within a few months, it looked he gained about 40 years in age or something. Just wither away, just couldn't live without Lord Chaitanya. Couldn't exist without him. Within a year he left the world. And during that time he was like an old person. So the deities, Gopinath's deities, said that Gopinath sat down to make it easy for him to dress make it easy. To this day, Gopinath is in a sitting posture. Lord Chaitanya, in fact, said he entered into the Gopinath deity when he left this world. So close was that relationship. And similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very esoteric, but very close relationship. Various Shaktis of the Lord appear in various individuals in different pastimes of the Lord from the expanse. Okay. We'll leave it at this. No time for everything else. Many things.
Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is also collector money, 1 rupee, for make this yoga pita.
Yes. When he, having discovered the birthplace, then he was also collecting for building, but the actual building of the temple was during Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's time, the one you see now. But they had something there during Bhaktivinoda's time also. And it was further developed by Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's time. Yes, but he was collecting for that too. He was how can I say? astonishing person. He was described by one very famous scholar, I've forgotten his name, that he was the seventh Goswami. He was in the same country. When he was in Puri, because he took initiation, it's interesting, he took official initiation from people in Bihari, who he didn't really spend, much time with, it seems. People in Bihari was in the line of Janananda. And anyways, kind of the whole thing. But his main Shiksha Guru was, he considered Janananda Das Babaji. When he was in Puri, there was this one famous, whatever. No, they would call him great devotee, a great famous personality. Radharaman, what was his name? Radhacharaman, something like that. And he was the one who started, if you go to Puri, you'll see in Bhakti, in Haridas Thakur, Samadhi, Bhajan Kuti, many places actually. They chant this mantras which Prabhupada personally, was condemned, was in speculative, inventative mantra, what's the word, I can't think. But not, it's Rasa Basa. I'm not going to mention it, but they chant this Rasa Basa mantra over and over and over and over again. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his son particularly challenged this. One of the reasons they left Puri is because of the became quite sensitive situation. But later on it said that personality actually came. He was going to come and hear from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but he left his body before that happened. There were a lot of challenges wherever he went. But with his own health, he also had a lot of health issues. But he never stopped. Nothing could impede his mission once he started. Even Lord Chaitanya, as we heard this morning, until he took Diksha from Ishwara Puri, he wasn't manifesting his missionary purposes. So at certain points of time that may happen. The business is to do what the Lord wants to fulfill the mission of the Lord. They may take different roles or behave in certain ways in certain situations, and then later on it becomes manifest for their actual life. That's why it's said that a Tirubhav, the departure of the pure devotee, is generally recognized in a more significant way than their appearance, because their appearance may not be even particularly noteworthy in terms of there was nothing specific which indicated what their life would be. In some cases there is, of course, but the Tirubhav is especially, and it's the fulfillment of their life's mission. It's like, it builds up to that point. Yeah. He was so disciplined. I mean, he would carry a pocket watch wherever he went, every moment. He wouldn't waste one moment of time. So engaged. Never spaced out. There was no time, I don't know if they ever used that word in those days, but there was no question of spacing out. Every moment was for Krishna, for his service. He had his management and his legal role, but otherwise his family role, but he taught that was one of his teachings, that Kirtaniya Sadhari means that every moment you have spare, you chant and glorify the personality of God. He was very much, really didn't like sectarianism. That's a big topic. A very, very big topic, which our time tonight does not allow us to venture into. But he really didn't like this idea that there's the truth and there's the non-truth, but he didn't like this idea of kind of like belittling others who, if the path was genuine, looking down on others, there's barriers and so on. He didn't like all this at all. He didn't, and especially quarreling. Really, an interesting statement. He said that only those who are above time above time can really see things for what they are. He's talking about the soul. Actually, it's interesting. He's talking about why the soul ends up in this world. He said only those who are beyond time can understand this. Anyone who's still influenced with time cannot understand it. They will simply argue with each other and commit offences. One of his statements. That we can't see. We can't see what's going on. We only perceive according to our limited capacity. But he was given very much clear picture of how we can come to that pure consciousness, step by step by step, and realize our actual constitutional nature by properly engaging our conditional nature in relationship with the Supreme, relationship with what is constitutional. He's very expert at everything, very expert. Anyway, he could go on and on and on. The printing press to him was so important, and to Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, he imbibed that in his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, to make this the Brihat Mridanga, the main kirtan, the printing press. Hare Krishna.
Hare
8:15, we have to close shop. Anything else? Christopher.
Sorry, Maharaja, I could not attend the class. I was busy.
Oh, you don't have to apologize. You're engaged in service.
My question was, when into Balaji, I mean, it's just a question.
Excuse me?
Right? No, it's not a very interesting question, but you can say something interesting. That Bhaktivinoda Thakur, like how many rounds? He was absorbed in chanting when he took Babaji, and he was just chanting all day, something like that.
One is on that platform. They chant all the time. In what way they chant is another thing. And they chant internally. Every moment is chanting. Their whole life is kirtan. Put it like that. To us, it's a regulation. It's almost like an implementation of the regulative principles. They're above regulated principles. They may follow regulated principles so that others can learn, but it's not a question that, did you go back to Godhead necessarily by numbers? The whole purpose of everything we do is to change our consciousness. There's nothing to change in our consciousness. They're already on the absolute platform. We just come into this world to share that with others in a way that we can relate with. So we don't measure them from that particular point. Like, whoa, they're only chanting so many rounds. This is the mundane perception. They're always chanting this way or that. Their writing is chanting. Their speaking is chanting. Their everything. Their sleeping. Everything is kirtan. Even their work, their raising kids, everything is in relationship with kirtan. Glorification, satatam kirtan dharma. They're always glorifying the Lord at every moment, within and without. So it's not really a matter of numbers in that sense, although numbers may be given. I don't know if there's a number of how many rounds Bhaktivinoda was chanting, so many numbers a day, how many, I can't remember. If there is a number, it's probably 64. That seemed to be the figure that was presented by Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, but even he didn't give that to everybody. It was a matter of time and circumstance. But to always use every moment of your life in one way or another, hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, and so on and so forth. Different people have different conditionings, different capabilities, different likes and dislikes, so different ways that they were engaged in devotional service. Kirtan was very strongly emphasized. Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name was strongly emphasized. Can't give you a more specific answer, maybe somebody can. If he was chanting an actual number, regulated. They don't have to follow regulations, they may or may not. It's their choice. They may be saying, worshipping the deities, they worship differently than we do. It's not like, you know, in the mood of Vaidhi, it's not in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan worship, it's in the mood of personal, loving exchange with the Lord. And they do it also to show others that they do it from their hearts. It's a very intimate relationship. Everything's very intimate with these devotees. We don't have access to that degree of intimacy. Whatever they do is whatever Krishna wants. Nobody's chanting japa in Goloka Vrindavan, by the way. But they can if they want for a bit of fun. But nobody's walking around with japa beads. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. How have you finished your rounds, Prabhu? Prabhu, can you milk the cows? No, I've still got 16 rounds left. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Can you make a garland for Krishna? No, I'm tired. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I haven't chanted my Gayatri. And that goes on. This is all to bring us to that platform. Hare Krishna. Quality. Your Prabhupada said, in times in Nairobi, he said, one devotee asked, what about the quality, Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada said, you will come to the quality when you come to the quality. Quality means love. It is not a mechanical imposition. It means when love awakens, that's quality. Everything else is sincere endeavor, whatever you want to call it. But love. We're trying to cultivate at least love for the representatives of the Lord. Love for the service itself, something. Love isn't something that can be broken. It's not something that depends on conditions. Unconditional love. Like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. He upset me. That means we don't know love. We're conditional. We may have some liking for it, or we may do it for other reasons. Some faith of some kind. That's not the unflinching faith. It's not the unconditional service. The pure devotees do as they like with me, my Lord. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Hari Bol. Jai. Thank you very much.
His Holiness Janananda Maharaja.
Hare Krishna. Tomorrow's Harinam Sankirtan. Don't forget. Also Gandhisha March, and don't forget, at least clean your body or clean your room or clean something. And we can go to tours and clean the consciousness in tours on Harinam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Do you think it's a good idea to have volunteers on the